This is another live radio link-up brought to you by the Government Communications GCIS. GCIS. GCIS.
The time has gone 9 minutes after the hour, 6 o'clock, and it's a very good evening to you, and welcome to our broadcast brought to you courtesy of Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS, in partnership with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, as well as the National Prosecuting Authority, the NPA in short. It is the third edition of the Let's Talk Justice, Live Your Rights show. My name is Karabo Lance Stolo Sabapedi Matebele Tabela Waula na mo maitibweng a le gono ro amogela mo khatsong ya rena yona o itlisetswa ke ba Government Communication and Information System GCIS ga mmogo le kgoro ya toka le tsweletsopele ya molaotheo, the Justice and Constitutional Development re sa lebale le ba National Prosecuting Authority NPA ka bokopana siyakwamukela nawe mlaleli kule hlelo lethu silethola ngaba kwa Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS, nomnyango we Justice and Constitutional Development kanye ne-National Prosecuting Authority. Gama lami uKarabo Lance, sizoba sonke kuze kushaya uhora lesithupha ngqo, and we welcome all your comments on this show. And joining us in the studio this time around, we are very happy to welcome one of the experts coming from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, who will be assisting us in comprehending the subject matter for this evening. Let me say good evening to you, Advocate Netilaulo Mularo from Maintenance National Complaints Manager. It's a very good evening to you, sir.
Thank you, Karabo, for giving me this platform to interact with the listeners, just to brief them and to explain, to give them rights with regard to issues of maintenance. And it is our mandate as a Department of Justice to make sure that the responsible parents do their duties as obligated by in terms of the law. And in situation wherein the fathers are not taking their responsibility, we are there to make sure that we force them to take their responsibility seriously. So,
awesomeness. I think with that introduction, you should know by now what exactly we are talking about this evening. We're talking about issues of maintenance. Because this is actually a subject that's been very popular. We've dealt with other subjects on the past weeks, but time and time again we tend to hear people coming in with matters of maintenance, and we thought let's bring this subject matter closer on our lineup of programs for this Let's Talk Justice, Live Your Rights show. So this time around we're going to be chatting about maintenance, and here's an invitation for you as a listener to take part in this show. You can call us with questions or comments on our toll-free number, which is 0800 142 446. I'll say it a bit slower so you can write it down. It's 0800 142 446. That number is a toll-free number if you're going to be using a telecom line. Otherwise, if you're going to be using your cell phone, would like to ask you to please call us first. We'll take your details and call you back, in that way saving you costs as well. You can check us out on Facebook at the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Otherwise, you can tweet us as well at DOJCD_ZA. That's DOJCD_ZA. You're also welcome to chat to us in any language of your choice. This is a program where everyone is welcome to express themselves in their comfortable language from anywhere in the country as well. So you can do that. Now, this evening, we're going to be talking about maintenance, as I said, and a very popular subject. Without wasting any further time, I want to tell you the good news as well, that later on in our program, we're going to be joined by the lady, and her name is Sally Cooper Goodwin. Now, Sally, if you don't know about her, it's actually a good story, and it's actually a what I want to call an encouraging story to everyone that's facing matters of maintenance. What did Sally do? You're probably asking yourself. Well, hang in 10. We'll tell you all about that later on our show. 13 after 6. Let's kick off, Advocate Mularo, talking about maintenance, and I want to refer it to the subject that we spoke about last week, the subject of the Constitution. Maintenance is also covered in the Constitution of South Africa in a chapter. Now, when we talk about maintenance, from what chapter will we be basing it on? Advocate.
And if you can look at Section 28 of the Constitution, it gives rise to the children to have a proper shelter and food, nutrition, and medical attention. So this has been covered in terms of our constitution, that the child has got a right to be maintained as well, to be the father needs to take responsibility, or the mother needs to take responsibility towards the maintaining of the child.
Now, when we say the father needs to take a responsibility or the mother needs to take responsibility, can one say the father and the mother both have a responsibility towards the maintenance of a child, or is it just purely based on that is the father that must, or is the mother that must?
Remember, it's a joint legal duty for both parents to maintain their children. Mm-hmm. I'll just give you an example. In a situation wherein the applicant approached the courts making an application against the father. Mm-hmm. So on that portion of the amount that is requested by the applicant, the mother has to contribute a certain amount towards the amount requested by the applicant. If the needs, for an example, is 1,000 rand for the child, mm-hmm. and both parents need to contribute equally. Equally doesn't mean that they need to contribute 50-50.
Right.
It depends also on the means of the father and the means of the father.
Okay. It's quite a new one, and not necessarily new that it wasn't existing, but it's a new one, new information, because a lot of people are under the impression that when we're talking about maintenance, we're talking about the father purely taking responsibility of the child, or maybe vice versa, the mother on the other hand taking responsibility of the child. But it's actually very encouraging to find out that once the maintenance order is issued, like you're saying, for instance, using the figure of 1,000 rand as an example, a portion of that, not necessarily equally, because equally will be then 500 rand on both sides, but not necessarily equally. But once an order has gone out, it means both parties have got some portion that they need to pay forward for the child. Let's talk then about because when a lot of people are talking about maintenance, you'll hear father often. And it's a myth that I would like us to eradicate just before the end of the show. But let me start here. Who is responsible or who can approach the court to file for maintenance?
Remember, I can say, let me put it this way. It is the legal duty to maintain it. It's based on the blood relation as well as adoption and marriage. I'll just, with regard to blood relation, the child has got the right to make an application against the parent for maintenance. Usually, in most cases, you'll find that mothers, women, are the ones that approach the court for maintenance,
right?
Because they are the ones that are normally staying with the kids after maybe certain issues happen, like divorce or so. So and with regard to something that the members of the public are not aware of, that the parents, my parents, can institute a claim against me if they are not able to can maintain themselves. They don't have any means to can maintain themselves. So they can still come to court and approach the court to make an applications against me as a child. And also in a situation wherein the parents don't have the means to make to pay for a maintenance, this can be extended to the grandparents. Usually, you will find, more especially the maternal grandparents are the ones that normally take responsibility of the child, but whereas which is not fair with regard to the paternal grandparents are not also taking responsibility to pay maintenance. So they can apply against the the grandparents to maintain towards the maintenance of the child. And as well as my siblings, they are also entitled to make an application against me if my parents could not afford to maintain them. But it's also limited to some of the issues. And with regard to adoption, if you adopt a child, you legally, the child is yours. Mm-hmm. That particular child can approach the court and make an application, or whoever who's taking responsibility of the child mm-hmm. can approach the court and make an application. And same goes to spousal maintenance in terms of the marriage. If you are married and then the other party is not contributing, so you can as well approach the court and request the other party to maintain you towards all your needs.
Which brings me to my next question that speaks to the issue of different types of maintenance. A lot of people always hear about maintenance when it's got to do with children being maintained, but there's actually quite a number of different types of maintenance that we have. Do you want to bring us up to speed with regards to those different types of maintenance?
Like I've indicated, it's a spousal maintenance, and it can be maintenance towards the child. Mm-hmm. Then, as I've indicated before, that also the duty is also being extended to the grandparents, wherein the parents cannot meet the obligations, and as well as my siblings can also approach the court and make an application for a maintenance.
Mm-hmm. 0800 142 446. So that's 0800 142 446. Would like to take your calls on that number. It's a toll-free number if you're going to be calling us from a telecom line. Otherwise, if you're going to be calling us by means of cell phone, we'll take your details down and give you a call as soon as we can. 0800 142 446. So let's go to Radio Riverside and we chat to Mararang. It's a very good evening to you, Mararang. What is your question or comment?
Good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, and yourself?
I'm also fine. I just have one question here about the parents who divorced and then monna ba tsona ke gore a maintain ngwana mme le gore ngwana ba tswa a boa go go mmago a ba ya go go rragwe e be nna gore jaano mmago o claim madi a maintenance ke ka gore o tshwanetse gore a boe a tswelele pele fela a maintain mme ngwana a nna le ene.
Okay, that's a very interesting one. Thank you so much, Mararang Gorlena. Because it's one of the issues that we're facing where you find initially the maintenance order or the maintenance lodgement was done by the mother, and things change in the future where you find what happens on that regard, advocate, when it comes to the issue of when the mother has lodged a complaint or a maintenance, father maintenance, order goes out that the father needs to take care of the child. But sometime when years go by, you find the child is now staying with the father. Is the father now still responsible of paying the maintenance since the order has come out?
Yeah. Remember now, the father is now having the custody of the child. He is having all the rights to approach the court and bring an application for a substitution, which is going to discharge that order, because now he's the one who's taking care of the child. The child is with him. So he's no longer going to pay maintenance through court, but actually what he's going to do, if he is willing to do so, can bring an application against the mother to contribute towards the maintenance of the child. If the mother is not contributing, then he needs the court to then force the mother to do so.
Farah, because now you're faced with an issue where, but now what will happen then, advocate, right? I get initially the child was staying with the mother. Maintenance goes out, or maintenance order goes out. The father is now taking care of the child. In the long run, the child now is staying with the father. You saying that once that happens, the father can go back and put a substitution or apply for a substitution for the order, where the mother is now responsible for the child. What happens in an issue where the father was staying with the child, but it's not an order or a court order or it's not voluntarily so, and then the mother takes the child back again. Does now the mother have to go back to court to reverse the whole process again?
Yeah, remember, there will be an inquiry by the court. If he brings an application for a discharge before the maintenance court, the applicant, who's the mother, will be called upon as well to give side of the story. If she's saying that maybe perhaps the respondent took the child by force, there was no any other agreement, then the maintenance then cannot
be reversed. Yeah.
So in a situation wherein now there was an agreement and she's saying yes, the child is staying with the father, she has been given an opportunity to then give her side of the story. So then the court can, in that situation, discharge the order. But in a situation now, the child goes back again to the mother, and the father is not meeting his obligations. The mother is also entitled to go back to court and bring that application again to say that now the child is with me, and the father is not doing anything towards the maintenance of the child. I need the order to be granted against him.
But is it possible for the child to stay with the father and for somebody to claim they're not doing anything towards the maintenance of the child? Because to me, if the child is staying with you, they're sleeping there by you, you're providing security. They're eating there by you, you're providing food. They're probably waking up in the morning, getting dressed, going to school, you're providing for their educational needs as well. Maybe sometimes about or only pay for the flu and all of that stuff, which means the father is the one who's going to see firsthand that the child goes to the doctor. In other words, supplying health needs for the child. Is it a fair comment to say, or somebody can come and say, no, the father's not taking care of the child properly, where else maybe the child has been staying with the father for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years, maybe even over that?
Remember, in those situations wherein the other interested party comes to court and indicate that the father is not doing anything for the maintenance of the child. Let's just give you an example, is the mother coming to say that he's staying with the kids but he's not doing anything. Then the court needs to make an investigation with regard to that. If they have to appoint a social worker to be involved in doing the investigation, the court has got the power to do so. If they have to use the investigating officer to gather that information, they also welcome to do so.
All right. 0800 142 446 0800 142 446. Let me hear your questions or comment, and I would like to hear from you also on Twitter at DOJCD_ZA. Otherwise, you can join us again on Facebook at the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. That's where you can catch us. Otherwise, you can catch us by way of telephone 0800 142 446. Let's go to my Hiking Susan. Susan?
Hello.
Legaime.
Again?
Susan?
Oh.
Susan. What is your question, Susan? What is your question or comment?
You know what? I wanted to know if the child go and to the magistrate, the maintenance office. I just want to know from which age. Between which age, because I have a child of 13, she's 13 years. So I wanted to be clear, is she able to do that herself, or am I the one who's supposed to do that? Number two, what is happening when the father is working but was self-employed? For an example, an artist who cannot like produce a salary advice to say I'm getting this much a month. So what the maintenance office is going to do with regard to comparing our salaries or comparing our earnings, as for we have to contribute both sides equal amount.
Let me just correct that, Susan. It's not equal amount, but contribute both sides. But we'll deal with that. Thank you so much. Is that all? Okay, Susan from Mafikeng. Is it Kuli from Uppington? Good evening to you, Kuli.
Good evening, Karaba. How are you?
I'm very well, and yourself?
I'm fine, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My question this evening, I'm thinking about the social challenge that is, affecting us all, maybe directly or indirectly, which is teenage pregnancy. What happens in an instance where the other party might be unemployed? Say the child is staying with either the mother or the father, and the other party is maybe still attending school or not working at all, can one still claim for maintenance then?
All right. Is that it, Kuli?
That's it, Karabo.
Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you for calling in.
Bye.
0800 142 446 0800 142 446. Hey, Bafut, you're very quiet, man. I'm getting very worried. I'm only hearing a voice of a man, and that's mine, Le Advocate, Mo Studio. I would like you to call in as well. Let me encourage you to call in on 0800 142 446. If you're not calling in, it means there's something that you're hiding. 0800 142 446. Otherwise, you can check us out on Twitter. That's at DOJCD_ZA. That's DOJCD_ZA. Otherwise, Facebook, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. If you've just joined us, good evening to you. My name is Karabo Lance. I'm glad that you are part of this show this evening. Joining us in the studio from the Maintenance National Complaints Office Manager, it's Advocate Nechiasaulu Muraro. I'm going to practice that. Muraro, I'm getting it right.
Yes, you're getting
and
it right.
The name, the pronunciation of the name?
Of the surname is Nechisaulu.
Nechisaulu.
Yes.
You see, I've got it right now this time around. So that's the person that's going to be helping you to answer some of the questions that you might be having this evening as we go on with the show. Let's go to Kunjuzwa. Kunjuzwa.
Hello Butu Philile.
Ndiyaphila kunjani?
Ngiphilile nami Butu Amakhondo.
Babhala isipedi lana ngazi labafana masithethe kaloku.
Ingxaki yami mina Butu wami utata omntana uthutha contact yabantwana unefama senzo akabhatali right i-maintenance yomntana. Ba ubhatele mhlambi i3 months kwezinye inyanga akazibhatali zonke and akathengeli mntana mpahla.
Okay, what does your order say? You see, when Kunjuza, we need to backtrack on issues like this and find out what your order says from the court. What did the court say when they issued out the maintenance order? What responsibilities do they have, or does the father have? What must he do on a monthly basis?
It's supposed to buy 500 ngenyanga.
Okay, what else?
Suppose uthenga impahla for i-winter na for i-Christmas.
So twice a month, twice a year.
Yes.
Okay, what else?
Ile monthly payment ke ngoku 500 only.
Okay, the reason why I'm asking this, we just want to give Advocate here, Muraro, just a direction in terms of what exactly he's dealing with. Is that the only question that you have, Kunjuzwa? Okay, Ndabulela says we'll definitely answer your questions. Let's go to KZN and we're chatting to Mrs. Pillay. Mrs. Pillay?
Yes, how are you doing?
I'm very well, and yourself?
Well, thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I see my daughter is having lots of problem with her husband.
Right.
And he, he drinks a lot and the children doesn't want to stay with him. And she's living with me at the moment. I'm looking after her children.
Uh-huh.
She works, right? But now she hasn't a place to stay because her husband, he stays in that flat and she wants to move out from there. What do you think I suggest? What do you think is the most, the children doesn't want to stay in that flat?
Mrs. Pillay, I'm very sorry about the situation that you're facing right now. I think it's a very, very bad one. And, grandparents should not be subjected to situations like this. But you've come to the right show. We're definitely going to deal with it, okay?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Listening to the radio, we'll deal with your question. 0800 142 446. Ray from Rustenburg. Good evening to you, Ray. Ray.
Potso ya ka rra ke na le bothata ke na le ex girlfriend di lo ko Mafikeng.
Yes sir.
Ke na le ngwana le ene so re bile ke ile ka pathuso around 2011 ko family advocate mabapi le ngwana because ke ne ke direla ngwana ke sa tota ngwana but a samphe nako ya gore ke bone ngwana ona le motho a nnang le ene gone ya no nyana. So problem ya ka ke e one ha ke bereka ke ke kgona go bona ngwana, but ngwana o na sa di le around 2 years back from last year. O ile mo tsaya last year a tla mo tsenya school around Mafikeng last year. So around January this year, ke ga ba ta tšhelete kana ka something like 21,000 a re ke tshwanetse ke spend ke ntshe tšhelete eo for the fees tsa ngwana tsa sekolo, gore ke bone ngwana ke tshwanetse ke patele tšhelete e le kana something like 21,000 ya ngwana ya sekolo. So lebaka la ka ke gore ke ile ka ya go family advocate ke bula case against Namuthuko, because ga ke na bothata ba go direla ngwana. Ke dile ka fiwa something like selo sa go support ngwana gote every month ke ntshe tšhelete kana ka 500 rand, then ka mo rekela dilo ka June le ka December tsa go kana something like 1,000 rand.
Okay, ke bang au fileng selo seo? Who gave you that?
Ha ke ne ke le ko family advocate, ba ne ba botsa nna go ba ne ba mpotsa gore o ka support ngwana yang ke tšhelete e sengwe ka khona go tsena ka nna ke a ke bereke by that time ke ne ke bereka security.
Okay, but now was that just an advice or was it a maintenance order? There's a reason why Ray, because we need to establish whether it was a maintenance order that's been issued or you must pay that, or it was just advice from a family advocate. Was it a maintenance order or it was just advice from the family advocate?
It was an advice from the family advocate.
So at the present moment, we don't have a maintenance order that says you must pay so much.
Yes.
Have you been paying your 500 rand and buying clothes twice a year though?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, Ray. That's all. Is there anything else that you would like to bring to our attention? Otherwise, I've got the gist of what your problem is.
Yes.
Okay, 100%. Thank you so much for your call. We'll deal with it.
Thank you.
All right, 0800 142 446. Advocate Mularo. Now, this is the one in Guatisang Lufeta. And I knew this thing was going to happen, and I was quite ready for it. We've got situations where they play the access card trick to the fathers. Okase money because you didn't buy Hedi Nike, it's at 250 rand. They close the doors. You as a father don't have access to the child. The doors have been closed behind you. Okase money because you're not doing this and this for her. Or Okase money because what you're doing is not enough as far as I'm concerned. How can the court or how can the department help fathers like that in terms of knowing their rights? And what is the deal between access to children and maintenance? Where do they connect these two?
All right, thank you. The listener here was focused more on issue of access of the child.
Yeah.
Which then I will advise him to approach the office of the family advocate that will assist him in drafting the parental plan. Or he can approach the children's court and indicate the situation to say that I don't have access to my child. Remember, you are depriving the child rights to know his father and to have contact with his father. The court can assist him in making an order to say that the child must see maybe perhaps the father on weekends and he must have those access during those time, and that can be indicated by the court. So if the mother denies the father that opportunity to do so, because it's an order of the court, that amounts to contempt of court.
Yeah.
She can be arrested and taken to court for contempt of court, because it's an order of the court that instruct her to give access to the father. Mm-hmm. And with regard to issues of maintenance and access, this, if you don't contribute towards the maintenance of the child because you don't have the means, you don't have to be punished because you cannot meet those obligations. If you don't have obligations, you don't have. So, but the issue of the access, you have got the right to see your child. You can approach the court that can give you that relief.
All right. I would like to encourage you to stay with us, because later on, as I said to you earlier, we're going to be joined by somebody on the phone. We're going to be joined by somebody on the phone by the name of Sally Cooper Goodwin, who's got a good story to tell. And we'll bring her in about 5 or so minutes. We'll definitely give her a call and we'll get her on the line. She can tell her story in terms of what the court has done for her. Let's take another callers from Kuruman. Hi, Kinedwe.
Hi, sir. How are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I'm okay.
Yeah. Question or comment?
I've got a serious problem, yes, sir. I'm getting spousal maintenance there and for my children too.
Okay.
But the problem is, the person is not paying the amount that the court order has actually demanded from him. It's always 600 short, and there's a lot of arrears. But I don't know how to sort this out because he claims that he has given us the money, whereas he hasn't given us because he doesn't pay the money into the magistrate's court account. He gives it to the children all the time.
Okay, I'll tell you what, we're going to answer that shortly. Stay tuned and we'll definitely deal with that one there. This is part of what I call defaulting, but we'll talk to that now pretty soon. 0800 142 446 in Pretoria. We're chatting to Tony. Tony, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Tony, how are you doing? Tony? All right, we've lost Tony there. 0800 142 446. We're taking another caller quickly. All right, let's.
Hello.
All right, here's Tony. Okay, good evening. Bratabo.
I'm calling from Opening.
Yes, sir. Bratabo, how's it?
I'm good, and then I'm calling from a cell phone now.
Okay, are you calling from a cell phone? We'll take your details down quickly. Let me get my producers to take your details down, and they'll give you a call as soon as they can. All right. Let's answer some of these questions that we still have. Advocate Moraro, grandparents who are taking care of kids, especially in a situation like Mrs. Pilay's one, where the father is an alcohol abuser and not taking care of the kids properly and that type of thing, to a point where grannies had to stay with the children to protect them. What help can they get? Can they also approach the court and lodge for maintenance as grandparents, not as mothers, but grandparents?
Yes, remember she's having a custody of the children. She's the one who's taking care of the children at present. So she's having all the rights to approach the court and file for a maintenance against the parents who is not meeting the obligation. So she can do that. She's more welcome to approach the court and make an application, as she's the one who's taking care of the kids currently.
Mrs. Pillay, all you have to do is to go to your nearest magistrate court, lodge in a complaint or lodge in a maintenance a request. Because you're staying with the children, you have the right to do that, and the court will definitely assist you on that one. And all the best to you as well. What about an issue where somebody has been given a maintenance order but they default? What will happen to those people? Say they default, maybe they have a reason why they're defaulting, and maybe they communicate that reason to whoever they need to pay maintenance to. What will happen in that regard?
Remember, when the order has been made by the court, you have to comply with the court order.
Right.
And in a situation wherein you cannot meet your obligation, you need to inform the court. Maybe it will, as a result of unemployment.
Correct.
Then you need to inform the court that you cannot meet the obligations. You request the court to suspend the court order in the meantime until such time you can be able to make those means. Or in a situation wherein the amount is too much for you, and by any other reason you got demoted and your salary is no longer enough that you can meet those obligations. So you need to approach the court and inform the court that this is the situation. I need to make an application for a reduction.
All right.
So that the court can assist you.
And then we have issues of, but why longer they are self-employed, who are self-employed, who cannot show maybe, say, body pay slips and so forth. Bona, when it comes to maintenance, yeah,
it's a difficult situation. You find a person who is self-employed and doesn't have any salary advice to show that this is the amount that is making. So the court will hold an inquiry just to find out on average as to how much does he make a month. Remember, you will have to produce maybe perhaps your bank statement that shows that this is the amount that you roughly earn per month, and then the court can work out around that issues. Though it is sometimes you find a person doesn't even have a bank account. He claims that he cannot maintain the kids and he doesn't have a means. So it becomes difficult, but then the court must do an investigation. You'll find a person saying, no, I cannot meet my maintenance, but he's driving a motor vehicle.
Yeah.
He's putting petrol on that car. So those are the issues that the court needs to consider.
All right. We're going to be taking some of your Facebook and Twitter questions now in a short while. But before we do that, I would like to bring somebody whom I would like you to hear from, especially ladies who are being done wrong. This is a good story. It was featured on the newspapers about a couple of weeks ago, if not, I think it was about 2 to 3 weeks ago. It's somebody by the name of Sally Cooper Goodwin, who, justice came at a very, very important time in her life. Good evening to you, Sally.
Hi there. Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for having taken time to be with us on the line. And how are things looking up in terms of the developments in your household, in terms of taking care of your children and yourself?
Things are definitely much better, thank you. Now that I've managed to get the arrears maintenance, things are looking up. Now we just start the current maintenance battle.
100%. Now, Sally, just give us a bit of a background in terms of what happened. You battled for years and years and years of not getting maintenance for your children, and I can just believe, as a single parent, that things were very, very tough. But justice came through to you at the time where you least expected it?
Yes, well, it was. It took quite a few years. I got divorced in 2005, so we've been divorced for 10 years. And he paid very sporadically in the beginning, and then he stopped. And I was at fault. I didn't push this. I didn't go to maintenance court. I was too busy, trying to earn a living and support my children and that sort of thing. But I now have my eldest son who's studying at Varsity College, and it's just education. It's very expensive for all three of them. And I just reached the point where I thought, no, I actually have to do this, and I have to do it for them as well as for myself. And so it took a little while to get the process in motion, but when it did, it really got going. And everyone was very helpful, and it worked out well in the end.
Sally, I would like to believe it wasn't a very easy journey for you to get to this point.
No, it wasn't at all. It's emotionally. It's hard on the boys, and it's exhausting. It's very tiring. And there were many, many, many times when I thought, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to do it on my own. But I just kept at it, and I persevered. And I think really that if I can send any message to anybody out there tonight, that is my message. Just don't give up. The system works. It takes time, but it does work. And just don't give up. Keep at it. Keep pushing and pushing until you eventually get through.
And Sally, when you say there were times where you felt like giving up, I suppose hitting a brick wall each and every time, that almost like drained the power out of you. You felt like just leaving everything. But there was a support group, I understand, that really helped you on Facebook.
Oh yes, there are more than one. There's more than one group on Facebook, but there is a child maintenance difficulty support group on Facebook, and they're actually fantastic because I think just sharing your story with other women and just being able to have hearing from other people who are experiencing the same difficulties, it makes you feel like you're not alone. Because often I think single parents feel very alone. They feel like the struggle is theirs alone and nobody quite understands what they're going through. So just having other people who understand your frame of reference and know what you're going through and where you're coming from, I think that's very important.
All right, Sally, before I let you go, just the figure. Just give us the figure in terms of how justice came through for you, and eventually what figure did you then, all in all, receive from what I would like to call back maintenance that was due to you?
Well, I received just under 450,000 rand, which was for 10 years basically of outstanding maintenance. So it's not really everything, but it's definitely hugely helpful just when it comes to paying your school fees and varsity, things like that.
Well, Sally, hats off to you from Government Communication and Information System, GCIS, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, as well as the National Prosecuting Authority. We'd like to say all the best to you, and thank you so much that you fought the good fight, because this really encourages other ladies and other men out there who are experiencing the same problem that you're experiencing, and you're paving the way for them to show them that it can be done. It really goes a long way.
Absolutely. Well, I really hope so. And I just think also, just to let people know that there are so many people at the Department of Justice behind the scenes who really work hard to get this all right, you know. So, honestly, you need to just keep pushing. That's the best thing to do.
Sally, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Having me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
There we go. That's Sally Cooper Goodwin, and she's one of the ladies. In fact, she is the lady who's made headlines 2 weeks ago or so, whom the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development came through for her. Tell us a little bit about how you feel when you hear such good stories, Advocate Molaru.
It's encouraging just to find at the end this lady has been assisted with regard and recover a lot of money that will assist her in taking care of the child for their educational needs, and as well as the shelter and food. So this is one of the encouraging part of it. When you hear about these good stories, then it gives you motivation to say that let's help these women out there that are suffering because of the other person not taking responsibility.
All right, we're going to take your questions now. 0800 142 446 coming up. Just a bit of something that I heard from a friend of mine who's also battling when it comes to maintenance issues, saying to me, yeah, I never like about the maintenance in the next thing motorically weave. We're going to talk about those people who are actually paying maintenance, but you find that the money is not doing what it's supposed to do for the children. We're going to be talking about that shortly, Advocate, but let's take a caller from Deep Kloof. Mankhulume no Gogo. Gogo kunjani?
Ngiyaphila kunjani?
Ngiyaphila mawami. Umbuzo wakho uthini sukuncede?
Ngibuza ukuthi ngiyenze njani uma ubaba walengane umzukulu wami wale 800 rand yesondlo yokudla. Wathiwa isikolo nako konke okufunwa isikolo kusho ukuthi ku include ne transport yesikolo nempahla zokugqoka nodokotela wathiwa uyo zokubhadala akakwenzi konke lokho ukhiphi 800 ngibhadale i650 for i-transport yesikolo somntwana kusale 150 kusho ukuthi since udlale 150 uphila ngemali mina engiyihola yomndeni.
All right, Gogo. Sizobona Gogo sizonceda. Makukhona sizomvalela. Okay, maybe not now, but we'll see how we can deal with it. Let's go to Mohlwathupa. Re tla re bue Sesotho vale. Mohlwathupa. O ka ngwaneso.
Dumela le ka ntate.
Re tele ka m.
Re teng ntate ke Mohlwathupa ntate ka Matwabeng.
Ke utlwa ka o leboha ntate.
Mohlompe ihlile nna ne ke botsa hona ntlha ena e ntse di bua ka yona di bua ka taba tse monate ya holo. Ka ne ke botsa hore ntate jwale gona ba bang re etseditswe di-protection order ntate. Jwale ke kgona support-wa ngwana jwang ke sa mone le go ya jwang. Ene le hape tabe nngwe e ntenang ka ho fetisisa. Ngwanenwa wa ka ntate hell e ka ga hana batswadi o dula.
Okay, but then I've got the gist of what Mohlwathupa was saying there. It's a big one. Protection order versus seeing the child and the adopt. I think Mohlwathupa is still on the line. So many hands of the producers going up. But Mohlwathupa, ngo tswele pele re. Kupeletse, ngo tswele pele. Jwalo batho
ke re le mmenwa wa ngwana jwale hae ga mo fele khirinyana ya 200. Ha ke batla go kopana le ngwana tshwantse ke tloe mapolasing kwana ke tle Matwabe mona ke tlo bona ngwana ene le teng ke ikutswa ke moemela hekeng ha tswa sekolong ntate o bua ke ntho tse jwang jwale ke batla go ikhatha tabena hore ke ne ke supportiso bane ha go di fedile ke tswa di callback hurry up please. Ka mmino ngwanino ha etse ntho tse ke di lebelletseng ha re ke le dieta tse hantle mo ha o tsama ditavene ha ka nne ha batla ha ke mo bona.
All right, we're going to deal with it, and I'm happy that you've called in with this because I don't want to lead it. You know, when I know the next thing my producers will be saying, not necessarily so, but I want to deal with this issue. In fact, we've got about 8 minutes to do that. I want to eradicate the myth, Advocate Molalo. Maintenance is for ladies and not men. When you get a guy like Mohlwathupa, for instance, who's paying maintenance, but like he says, you know, the money goes to Kodi Tavening, the money goes Godi weaving. Some of those weaves are even fake; they're not even real. how do we deal with a situation like that? How can this guy be helped? Because he's saying, I want to take care of my child, but they're making it difficult for me. In fact, ebile ba nkitse tse le protection order. But come month end, ho kana di SMS tse ngata fela, you know? How do we help fathers who are paying maintenance and who are good citizens of the country and who are saying rena bana ba rona re tla ba hlokomela?
Okay. Now, with regard to the issue of the protection order, I will not be able to, because we don't know the facts as yet as to whether the reason why the applicant made a protection order against him. We don't know whether he was abusive or what is the. But the fact is that the court has made an order after listening to that evidence. But in a situation wherein now the mother is abusing that money, it's not used for the purpose of the maintenance of the child. He's having all the rights to approach the court. Like I've indicated earlier before, the investigation must be done whether the child really is not getting what he's supposed to get, and that investigation can be done by the social worker. They can go to school and find out from the teachers, just to get the story as to whether really the child is being taken care of. So if the findings are that really she's not contributing that money to the maintenance of the child, so the court can request that whoever was taking care of the child, maybe perhaps if the grandmother, can be the beneficiary of that maintenance, who's going to take care of the child, and vary the court order to say that it's not going straight to the mother because she's drinking the whole money.
Piladi, hold on, I'm coming to you now. Piladi, I just want to get this point across. What evidence is permissible in court to prove the mother is not necessarily taking care of the child correctly? Voice recordings, so forth, are they permissible in court to be heard? Maybe you've received a call from the granny saying, hey, Wanamdim, we know that you are paying maintenance, but if you've got a recording of that sort, can you take that to court and say, just listen to this in terms of what's happening with my maintenance?
Remember, there are laws governing those kind of evidence wherein you have recorded someone. But in a situation wherein the grandmother or whoever does have that information to say that your money that you are paying towards the maintenance is not being meant for that, so she can be called as a witness to come to court and testify to say that she's drinking the whole money that was intended for the child. So that evidence can be taken by the court and make an order to say that we are varying this court order to say that it's no longer going to the mother of the child because she's not utilizing the money for the purposes of the child.
All right. Here's a big one from Twitter. Mabasadi says that I have 2 kids with a married man. Will I be able to claim from both him and his wife if he as the father is unable to provide for the kids?
Yes. In a
situation, or yes. Is it a yes? She can.
But in a situation, can I explain?
Yes.
In a situation, let's say for an example, the father is married in community of property.
Yeah.
And he has got an extramarital affair. They had the child outside, the love child outside.
Right.
And the father cannot meet the obligations because of any other reasons. Maybe he's not employing or he's not getting enough. So because you are married in community of property, you can be as well be a party to the proceeding as the wife.
Yeah.
The applicant can claim as well from you, and the mother can also maintain their stepchildren that are made as a result of extramarital affair or before the marriage.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's a possibility.
It's possible.
100%. I think Mabasadi will be very happy to hear that. One more before we go to Pilar the Little Rato. Can I ask for a further 5 minutes from the stations? There's so many callers to take here, but quickly, this one, paternity, Advocate Monaro. If an order has gone out for maintenance to be paid, and then he says, no, I'm going to stop paying maintenance because, quite frankly, I don't believe this child is mine. What are the processes that will then come in?
Remember, you cannot stop paying maintenance if the court order grant an order to say the order has been cancelled or has been discharged. Mm-hmm. The court order doesn't evaporate. So what you need to do, if you have got a doubt that the child is yours, you need to approach the court and request the court to order the applicant to take the child for paternity test. And the court will make an order and they will be directed to any other institution that will take those paternity tests. If the paternity test comes as negative, then that is when now the court will then have to discharge that order.
Discharge it. Okay, so it means they stop that order.
They stop the order.
What about then the money from dating back to when you started paying?
Yes.
Do you get it back?
That will not be entertained by the maintenance court. The respondent has got all the rights to approach a civil court,
right,
and make an action against the money that he has been paid for the past years or month, if so. So he is having the right to approach any civil claim against the mother of the child.
All right, one more before we take callers. If the order is for the father to pay maintenance, and the father now is living with a child, now and obviously the father perhaps living with a child for almost like a year or two, can the father claim the money that he's been, or claim the equivalent of the duration where he stayed with the child when the child goes back to the mother?
Yes, he can go to court. Remember, he's the one who's staying with the child, and if the mother agrees that the children were staying with that parent were staying with the child, he can claim maintenance from the mother
for the past time,
so that he can pay back the money that he has incurred towards the maintenance of the child while he's staying with the children.
100%. Let's go to Piladi. Piladi, good evening to you. Sweet and short, what is your question? Piladi? Yeah, Putswa Hawering, very sweet and short. Piladi, we're running out of time.
Okay, now my question is, I'm married and anali 12 years, so I'm maintaining, or because I'm married with another maintainer as well.
Okay, 100%. Thank you so much, Piladi. I think I get it. Let's go to Lerato. Beggar pants. It's 7 o'clock on the dot. That's if I may ask for an additional 5 to 10 minutes, because there's just 5 minutes. My producer says there's just a number of callers that we still need to take here quickly. Here's an issue. If the lady gets married to somebody else and the maintenance order was issued before, obviously they will not obviously, but they tend to change surnames. If that's the fact, is the father still eligible to pay maintenance?
Remember, in that situation wherein you legally adopted the child and you take them into your marriage, you are now taking responsibility away from the real biological father, and you are saying that these kids are mine, I will be able to maintain them. So in that situation, if you legally adopted the kids, then you will also be entitled to make an application. But bear in mind that there are also those that you'll find she's making an application against the real biological father, and as well making another application against the stepfather.
Right.
So those kind of situation, it becomes a fraudulent application, because you cannot go for the biological father and as well as the stepfather.
Okay. Issue ya culture. This is the one that I nearly forgotten. We'll come back to you, Lerato, very quickly. Issue ya culture, where we are told, especially as black people, that unsa, what they call damage to the child. When you've done that, do you still have to pay maintenance as well? How much is the damage? And on the other hand, hape, how say that damage, and they say you're not going to see the child, but you're paying maintenance. How does the court come through for you?
Yeah, the damage, remember, is not the maintenance. It cannot sustain the child for lifetime.
Right.
So then you need to bring in, if the person has paid the damage and you're not contributing towards the maintenance, she can approach the court and make an application against the father. The fact that you pay the damage or you did not pay the damage, it doesn't matter. Right. As long as you are the father of the child, then you are entitled to maintain that child.
All right, let's take Lerato for the last time. Are we taking Lerato on air? All right, Lerato, you're the last caller. Good evening to you, Lerato.
I'm not Lerato.
Kwena mangme.
Kinalina.
Auslina, sorry about that. We do apologize. What is your question or comment? What is your question or comment?
A question of what?
Okay. Right, 2 minutes after 7 o'clock. I think that person has got the wrong end of the stick when it comes to the program. But just before we finalize, 3 minutes to go. Another problem, man. Yeah, the fathers who are really taking care of the children, but things are being made difficult for them. Issue starts on where do I fit in when it comes to the whole issue? Yeah, equal maintenance, not necessarily equal per amount, 500, but if the order has gone out, and this is what we've said at the beginning, if an order has gone out for 1,000 rand, how can the father Lena make sure or the other parties taking responsibility, make sure that they taking responsibility?
Remember, when an applicant comes to court and make an application, she will have to prove the needs of the child. As like the example that I've given you. The child needs is 1,000 rand, and the father is earning roughly, let's say, 5,000 rand, and the mother is earning roughly 7,000 rand. In that situation, the mother will have to contribute more than the father because the means is not the same.
So when somebody lodges maintenance, it's not necessarily against somebody only one. When the maintenance is lodged, it will affect both of you to a certain degree. Is that what we say?
That's correct. Because then we look at the means, and then you need to contribute your portion from that 1,000 rand. If the means of the child is 1,000 rand, the father then they can meet the mother somehow. It might be 400 rand, or it might be 500 or 700, it depending on your means as well. So it's not going to be automatically that 1,000 rand is going to be the father's responsibility.
Yeah.
So the mother must have the share towards contributing to that.
Not necessarily equal, but some contribution.
Yeah, some contribution.
Because it brings me, and I'll take Nina just now, I've noted that. It brings me to that question that was raised earlier by Ukoko. There was one thing she said, though, that troubled me when she said that the court said he must do everything, when it comes to schooling of the child. Should a maintenance order, can it say that? Can it just say everything? Because everything everything yako skolong means transport, and that will be the interpretation of somebody that's lodging. When it says everything, it means skolo, everything. But can't somebody ask for a specific? When you say schooling for the child, do you mean transport and books only, or do you mean transport and uniform only, or do you mean transport and school and uniform and?
Yeah, I think you are quite correct, because when you make an order, you must be specific. The order must not be vague.
Right.
You need to indicate if the father has to contribute the school fees. You need to contribute to mention on the court order to say that you contribute the school fees, and you mention the name of the school if necessary as well, because to avoid this issue of saying you contribute towards the school fees and the mother decided to take away child from the public school and take him to the expensive private school.
Yeah.
So because that order, it says that you need to contribute toward the school fees, that he is bound then to contribute that amount that he cannot afford. So it's wise when the maintenance officer is drafting that court order to say that you pay a maintenance your school fees to this school, as well as clothing of value of how much, maybe twice a month in June and December. So and also as well with regard to those kind of order that says the father can do everything, you might find that the mother does not have maybe any income anyway.
True.
So you'll have to take responsibility of everything. But then if the mother does have income, then she needs to be part of that court order as well.
Can one be forced to have some income? Because you have other people saying, I don't have anything, and that they'll stay that way for the rest of their lives.
Remember, you will show, like for an example, you are employed and the next thing you are retrenched. So you go to court and make an application for a discharge of an order. Some of the court will be on condition that we are discharging this court, we are suspending this court order. You need to go and look for an employment and come and report maybe after 3 months to tell us that you went to this company and they said they don't have any other income. So you need to come and maybe report in a monthly basis or after 3 months, just to tell us that you are trying your level best to look for an employment.
All right, 100%. All right, Nina, is Nina our last caller? Nina?
Hello?
Oh, question or comment very quickly. We ran out of time almost.
Okay. Any maintenance, ne?
Botsa.
Okay, whatever nna ke kile ka ba le bothata ke be bana ba ka ba be ba mentioniwa ko magistrate wa Retavi, and then ha ba gore ya stopa totally, and then ha ke botsa ha ba ona ha ke santse ke botsa ona na why it is I fumana or e be kanishiwa, and aban inform ba yetsa mix, so ba thutse ka tsela eo, and then motho yo a be a mention bana ba already ba nkile early retirement, so bana aba fumana mix.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So basically, when they retire, do you want to find out what can be done after somebody has retired?
Yeah. Ka ore bana a ke re ba santse ba le sekolong, so ke na le bana ba phasitse matric ba ithu, so
Okay.
ba be ba tshwanetse gore ba ya sekolong pele.
All right.
Mix.
All right, good stuff. Thank you so much, Menina. You were last caught up. Basically, lines are closed. Advocate, when it comes to people retiring and they had maintenance orders while they were still working, now they retire. How does maintenance fit in that scenario?
Okay. The applicant, if she does have that information that the respondent has retired, she needs to inform the maintenance officer. And if the respondent does have a history of defaulting, maybe it's not, and it's also the duty of the respondent to inform the court that now I'm no longer employed, because there is an order that he needs to comply with. So if that information is given to the attention of the maintenance officer, the maintenance officer can make an application to freeze the amount of the pension by the if it's an institution, pension institution, to freeze those amount, and they can do the calculations of future maintenance, what we call the dissipation order, anti-dissipation orders. So they can do that calculation to say that, like the previous speaker who got an amount of 150, so they can take a portion from that pension for the maintenance towards the children as well. So that's how she needs to just to inform the maintenance officer. Basically, they need to act on that.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. That's Advocate Molaro, and for having taken your time to be with us this evening. Advocate Molaro coming from the Maintenance National Complaints Manager from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Let me apologize to Tulani Mzokona, Patrick, Tony, Tabo, Susan, and Vusi as well. Let me just say this to you. This is not the last time we're doing this program, because it's quite a big one. I mean, it's as big as you must see the amount of people that are in the control room. All of a sudden, ke na le producers tse ke sa ba itseng ba bang tlhotsa bona ka matwadi ba kerile and so forth, you know. So that's how big this thing is, and we definitely we promise you as a listener that we are aware that there's so many issues still to be dealt with when it comes to maintenance, and we will definitely deal with them in our next episodes. We will let you know exactly when we're going to be dealing with this issue of maintenance. Thank you so much to all the community radio stations that have been a part of this show. We really thank you so much, and thanks to my producers as well. Before we say goodbye, let's get a number in the meantime while we're waiting for that call. Okay, so the number that they can call you, or that they can call you on, Advocate Molalo, what is that number quickly for further details?
The number that they can call me is 012315 1512.
Let's say it again.
It's 012-315-1512.
All right, 012-315-1512, 012-315-1512. That's the telephone number in which you can reach Advocate Molaro here. Thank you so much to my producers. It's been a long night. Ne? Have you learned something? They give me a nod. Okay, are you also waving? I'm speaking to my producers. Some of them are gabayits. I don't know the personal number or what's going on. I'm sure they fitile security, bridge security in here. I'll deal with them just now when I end the show. From Karabolans, Stolo Sama Pedil Batabele Kere, live your rights and let's talk justice. Until we meet again next time, ciao for now.